1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, my friends. Hi, everyone. This is Jewish Talk, coming to you live from NASA Community College on 90.3 WHPC. And we're also streaming on the iHeart and the iTunes app. And we can be seen in the studio right now on my Facebook live page as well as on WHPC. And we're so happy to be a program that is double-faced. That means it's on 2 Facebook pages. This program is later archived on Spreaker.com for those who can't get up on Sunday morning. So hi there. My name is Rabbi Pearl. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This all depends on when you're listening or watching, but whatever time it is, I'm so happy. I'm honored that you would take time out to join us each and every Sunday. Mazel tov, mazel tov. You know what? It's the wedding season. Mazel tov. How many weddings are you invited to? I look forward to participating today, officiating a wedding right here today, up in Tarrytown, New York. So we say mazel tov to Judy and to Josh. And welcome to everybody joining us, listening to us on WHPC, and to Louis Pushkin, to Harvey Kepnes. Good morning, Jonathan Wolf, Stephen Mark Shaw, Dr. Kilshevsky, Gene. Oh, my goodness. Everybody's joining us today. It's great. And we have Joanne Sand from Georgia. My goodness, I didn't believe that the internet works that far. So today I'm going to dedicate it to all the wonderful men and women who are getting married and officially joining and building their families. Mazel tov to you and your entire family. So let's discuss some of the aspects that you would typically see at a traditional Jewish wedding, and some of interesting questions. The meaning of the ring on marriage. Number 2, is a Jewish bachelor's party okay? Is it the right thing to do? And the other question we often hear, why does the bride walk around the groom beneath the chuppah? Ay, 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 ay. It's not to check out his suit, to see what it looks like from the back. What's the reason why the bride goes around 7 times? No less. And here's the beauty, my friends. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but did you marry for the beauty or for the money? Welcome, everyone. And I can see all the wonderful people joining us on Facebook Live. Your posts are very much appreciated, and everybody listening as well. Thank you so much. So let's begin. One of the most significant parts of the Jewish marriage is the ring ceremony. I know the joke. I know you want me to tell the joke, and I'm going to say that every marriage is basically a 3-ring ceremony. First starts with the engagement ring, then comes the wedding ring, and then comes the suffering. Okay, I know I had to get off my chest. Please, the station does not allow the laughter meter can't go too. So please stop laughing now. Please, too much laughter is not good, especially early in the morning before we've had our bagels. So one of the most significant parts of this wedding is, of course, when the groom places the golden ring on the finger of his future wife and commits his soul to hers forever. But this is not the only ring in the marriage ceremony. There are another 7, this time invisible rings, symbolically formed by the bride when she walks 7 times around the groom and commits her soul to their marriage. But then there's a 3rd ring. There's an overarching ring that surrounds both the bride and the groom together, and that's the ornate chuppah. So our question this morning is, why the obsession with rings? Now this 3rd ring, which is the canopy, the chuppah, that surrounds both the chassan and the kala, the bride and bridegroom, represents really the 3rd partner in marriage. Well, who is the 3rd partner in marriage? The bank. No, I'm just joking. The 3rd partner in marriage is the Almighty God, who surrounds the couple and blesses their marriage. So let's get to it. Why? Why are we so obsessed? Why do we have so many forms of rings? The physical ring that the man, the groom, presents to his dear wife. She has preceded that with 7 invisible rings when she goes around him 7 times. And then this big overarching ring of the chuppah that surrounds both of them. You see, when a couple gets married, they create an exclusive ring, a circle of marriage, a personal covenant between themselves and God. This circle of marriage delineates the borders of a sacred space for the husband and wife in which no trespassers may enter. This circle must never be breached. Both the husband and wife must ask themselves at all times if they're doing what it takes to protect this circle of marriage. Now, this is not an easy task. Because of its delicate nature, it can easily be breached unwittingly or in a very subtle manner. Let me tell you what happened. Recently, I was standing in line at a checkout counter in our local supermarket when I noticed the lady right in front of me was struggling to make her payment on the credit card reader. And we all know how we feel. You got a whole line of customers and you're sitting there and you're sticking the card in. Should you swipe it? Should you stick it inside the machine? So every card that she used and presented was rejected. Needless to say, she was humiliated. I guess maybe because the rabbi was standing right behind her, which was myself. But instinctively, she rolled her eyes and blurted out to me, "Oh my, there goes my husband again. I can't believe how he never manages to pay his credit card bills on time." Now, was she protecting her circle of marriage? So I thought to myself, what's really happening here? Here was a woman confessing her most private matters to an absolute stranger. In order to save face to me, she was preparing to belittle her husband in such a demeaning manner. Now, was she protecting her private and personal circle of marriage there by telling me that her husband doesn't pay his bills? So it dawned on me then that how careful we need to be in protecting that sacred space of marriage. Often I hear people making jokes about their wife and jokingly, kind of negative stuff, or rolling their eyeballs when they talk about their wife. That's not nice. It may seem to be inconsequential, but really these impulsive outbursts can really be undermining the entire marriage. It kind of it says a lot about the person if they joke about their wife. So we need to be vigilant in guarding our marriages by strengthening and supporting the impenetrable ring that we place around it. Therefore, right at the beginning, under the chuppah, there's a ring that surrounds both the chassan and kala, the chuppah. And then there's the exchange of rings, one physical, one spiritual. The bride presents 7 spiritual rings as she goes around him 7 times. We'll talk about that more. And, of course, the physical ring that he presents. But the main thing is this protective value of modesty, of confidentiality, and of holiness that becomes part of the importance of marriage. So the question now is, why does the bride walk around the groom beneath the chuppah? What's the reason for the bride walking around the groom 7 times under the chuppah? And I can see, so to speak, people's eyeballs, rolling. Oh, yeah, I know, Rabbi. It's an indication of a husband's power over his wife. Wrong. But let me first say hello to all of our listeners. Good morning. Shalom. Also, a special welcome to all those watching us on Facebook. I want to say hello to Alan Wasserman, Harold Kornfeld. Harold! Wow, fantastic, Harold. I remember your dear parents. I want to say hello to Gus. Fantastic. And it was great to see your family. And Holly Karen. Fantastic. Doug, thank you again for joining us. And Karen, you're back again so much. So our yokel is this some sort of negativity? What's this business of going around? The man stands there like a yokel over there under the chuppah, and the woman goes around 7 times. My friends, this is far from any indication of a husband's power over his wife. It's quite the opposite. The bride, by circling the groom, expresses her awesome power over him. Like telling him, I'm watching you from the front and I'm watching you from the back. The 7 circuits are reminiscent of the biblical story of Joshua leading the Israelites into the promised land. They came to Jericho, a city known as the key to the land. If they would conquer it, the land would be theirs. But guess what? Jericho was protected by a big wall. There seemed to be no way in. What did God do? God commanded the Israelites to walk around the walls 7 times. And as soon as they did, a miracle happened. The walls came tumbling down, and they were able to conquer the city. In fact, when I travel to Jericho on Long Island, I'm very careful to find the address I'm going to, because if I circle around the Jericho more than once or up to 7 times, I'm afraid that those barrier walls that separate the city, the Jericho area from the LIE or the Northern State will fall down. Just joking. I can't believe people take me so seriously. So here we are. Every man has a wall built around his heart. Men are taught to hide their feelings, to create this impression of, I'm a big macha, to make it seem that they have figured it all out. So men create elaborate defenses to hide any sign of weaknesses or vulnerability. And guess what? They fiercely guard their deepest secret, that inside they are sensitive, simple, and soft. Like a sabra. Speak to Dr. Kilshevsky. He knows all about sabras. But a wise woman can pierce this defensive wall. If she surrounds her husband with a protective aura of her love, if she envelops him with affection, and if she makes him feel that he is the anchor, the center, the focal point of her life, then he can feel safe and comfortable. When that happens, the walls protecting his heart come tumbling down. Then she has conquered him, all of him. So once you find a good man, encircle him with your love, and he'll be yours forever. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them on our Facebook. And Dr. Kilshevsky, what happened to Jericho when Joshua surrounded it 7 times? Of course, the walls came tumbling down. And wow, it's great. And I want to know that Harold Kornfeld, whose great parents I knew for so many years, may they rest in peace, was amazing parents you had, kind people, Holocaust survivors. Harold, thank you so much. And he's listening from Florida. Can you imagine, Florida? This time of the day, people are already on their early bird special. They're having their lunchtime already. By the time they listen to my program at 8:30 a.m. in Florida, they're already having their lunch. Here's the next question. The next question is, I recently attended a Hasidic wedding. Someone said, wrote to me. Well, I guess today you email. It's a very different experience. And one thing I never seen before is the bride wears a veil at the chuppah that is so thick that you can't see anything at all. And no one can see any of her face. What's the reason behind this? And sure enough, that's exactly what happens in a Hasidic wedding. There's a veil, not just like the see-through veils. It's a real thick one. So what's the reason for this? I must tell you, there's an old stereotype when it comes to marriage. What is that? Men marry women for their looks, and women marry men for their money. There are, of course, many exceptions to this rule, but there's some truth to this. Men fall for beauty. The fact that there are plenty of pretty girls with rotten characters does nothing to stop the male quest for a beauty queen. And so many wonderful girls are overlooked simply because they do not fit into today's narrow and superficial definition of beauty. Meanwhile, men say that they want a man who is financially stable, which of course we all know is a euphemism for a rich guy. Somehow she thinks that if he has a 7-digit bank balance, he will know how to look after her. As if buying expensive jewelry and luxurious holidays is the only way to show her that he really cares. And the really nice guys, who are not such high flyers, are often left behind. Of course, we need to be attracted to our spouse. And of course, we all need money to survive. But these are not the most essential ingredients for a happy marriage. Too often, people fall for the outer version of what they truly seek. Rather than physical beauty, what they're really looking for is inner beauty and a sweetheart. It is not wealth we seek. What we really want is a steadfast and dependable source of support. It is only when we see beyond the superficial and meet a real person that we have a chance of finding and keeping our soulmate. So, my dear friends, this is the secret of the message behind the thick veil. Or really any level of veil. But why the veil? See, when the groom veils his bride, he's telling her, I'm not marrying you for your pretty face. I'm marrying you for the beautiful person that you are. So I can marry you with your face covered. Your beauty shines from within. And the bride being veiled is telling him, this veil will prevent me from seeing what type of wedding ring you place on my finger. I don't care. I will accept you, whatever ring you give, because along with it, I get you. It is you I want to marry, and not your money or the jewelry that you will buy me. In fact, what are the famous last words that the chassan, the groom, says as he places the ring on the index finger of his beautiful bride? In Hebrew, it says, Hariyat Mekadeshes li Kadas Moshe Yisrael. You're hereby betrothed to me with this ring according to the laws of Moses and Israel. In those words are actually 32 letters. 32. What's the significance of 32? Lamed Beis in Hebrew. 32 equals the word Lamed Beis, which is lave. When he presents his ring, it's not about how beautiful it is. It's lave. He's presenting his heart. A rich guy, remember this, a rich guy can lose his money. A pretty girl, her looks. But the inner beauty and spiritual wealth are ours forever. A marriage based on such eternal values will conquer just about anything. And then a little bit on a smiling front, I saw this question as well, and I said, I'm going to share it with my wonderful audience. And I really appreciate everybody who's joining us. I want to say hello to Susan Hirsch. Let's say hello to Jonathan Wolf. Always comes up with some wonderful thoughts. And I think once again, women will make a man into a millionaire, right? If he was a billionaire. That's kind of funny, but we all know that's not true. They say when you want to become a millionaire in Israel, you go with 2 million. But anyway, that's and I want to say hello to Samantha Kennedy from the United Kingdom. My goodness. Thank you so much. Samantha, I want you to know that I too come from London many, many years ago, and I appreciate your joining us here today. So the question that came to us was, my friends want to organize a bachelor's party. Oy gewalt, before the wedding. We have no idea what they're planning, which makes my fiancé all nervous about it. I'm not so excited about it myself, but everyone has a bachelor's party, so I feel silly refusing. So the question we're asking this morning is there a Jewish approach to a bachelor's party? Now, I want to tell you something, what happens in the Chabad community. On the Shabbos before, we have what is called an ofruf. The young man is called to the Torah. He makes a blessing. He has his family in mind. After the davening, they sit down to a kiddush and they share words of Torah. That's what is a bachelor's party. All preparing in a holy way. So let me give you the answer, some insights to what I think about bachelor's parties and if it's appropriate. It's the exactly opposite of how we think about in our community or our Jewish community. The bachelor's party is really, let's be honest, is your friend's way of telling you you're getting married, the fun is over. Guys get together, they get drunk, they have a few cheap thrills, and they make the standard corny and predictable jokes about how marriage is the end of life. It is as if this is the last chance for the groom to enjoy himself as a free man, because he takes on the ball and chain of married life. So, the message of a bachelor's party, my friends, and I don't want to sound like a party pooper, but the message of a bachelor's party is that marriage means you're giving up your freedom. You don't lose your freedom when you get married. It's when you first taste what it means to be free. Nothing could be further from the truth. You don't lose your freedom when you marry. That's when you get your first taste, again, of what it means to be free. Because marriage is not a one-way thing. It's a relationship. You're choosing someone to be your one and only partner for the rest of your life. But you're not doing that alone. Your partner is also saying, you are my one and only man. I've chosen you out of all the men in the world. I'm entirely and exclusively yours. Think about this. She has chosen you, not because you're perfect, because you aren't. And not because she first checked out every man in the world, because she hasn't. She chose you because you are you as you are. She is giving you the gift of freedom. You are completely free to be yourself because someone hasn't chosen you, all of you, to be theirs. So unlike all other friendships and family bonds, marriage is exclusive. Your friends have other friends. Your family members have lives of their own. But to your spouse, you are number one. You are her life. I was born for my spouse and my spouse for me. What could be more freeing than the knowledge that there is someone out there who thinks I'm number one? Who is more liberated than the man who can say that someone chose me out of all the men of the world? So marriage is the best move you can make. But your decision needs to be supported. And the typical bachelor party doesn't help anyone's marriage. Be brave, I suggest, and go against the tide. Instead of a party that perpetuates an immature view of marriage, do it the Jewish way. Get together with your friends, have a few drinks, and give each other blessings. Your friends should bless you that your marriage should be liberating for both you and your wife, and you should bless your single friends that they should find the special someone who will give up the whole world to be theirs. My friends, that's my thought on bachelor parties. I can see all my listeners and everybody watching suddenly getting off because they don't like that idea. But that's what it is, my friends. There is an appropriate way to prepare for marriage, and bachelor's parties is far from it. There's one other thing that I'd like to share with you that is fascinating when we think about marriages. And if you are attending a marriage, or as a guest, or your child or grandchild's getting married, think of the following. When can you say, this is the question, when you can really say that you went to a marriage? If you come back from the marriage ceremony or the wedding party and you say, wow, did you see how many piece band they had over there? You didn't go to no wedding. You didn't go to a chasana. If you come back and you say, did you see how much food there was in the smorgasbord and how many courses? You didn't go to a wedding. If you come back and all you can talk about is the flowers hanging and swinging and everything else, you didn't go to a wedding. If you come back and you see the chassan and kala, the bride and bridegroom, and they both looked in each other's eyes, and there was romance, and there was holiness, and there was caring, and under the chuppah, they were not joking and making stupid comments, but they were praying for others who were not married and praying for those who are not well, and you come back and you notice that, then you went to a marriage, then you went to a chasana. So my friends, when you go if you're going to a wedding, think about this. When you come back, what impressed you most? If there's anything less than who the chassan is, and who the kala, who the bride is, who the bridegroom is all about, and about their family, and about how they conducted themselves, how appropriate, how modest, etc., you went to a wedding. Anything less than that, you're just, making comments about the world around us. So let me just go on to one last idea that relates to marriage. The chassan and kala, the bride and bridegroom, who stand under the chuppah, I want to put in the following context. Every letter in the Torah is accounted for. One extra or one missing letter would disqualify the Torah. Occasionally in the Torah, there's actually dots that appear over a word, which the rabbis explain to be a signpost to help us understand the intention of the text. It's in this week's Torah portion, Ba'aloi Secha, we have two well-known verses. They're so well-known. These are the first recited in all synagogues when the Torah is taken out. And the second is said in many synagogues when the Torah is returned to its places. So these two verses are separated from the rest of the Torah by the means of two inverted Jewish letters, nuns, one before and one after them. Here, just letters by themselves. They don't make up a word, and they're actually upside down. or they turned over. And the sages explain this is because that this section, these two sentences, is kind of out of place. They were put here in order to interrupt two passages that deal with some negativity. Okay. And in fact, the way it's cordoned off by the two letters, it creates this kind of a separate book as well. Okay. But I want to share that there is something interesting that comes from this whole scenario. See, the letters that are chosen, like inverted commas, kind of quotes, these nun, in Hebrew, the nun is an Aramaic word for fish. Nune hayam, the fish of the sea. The life of a fish depends in a large measure in its ability to swim upstream. The fish has to brave all kinds of dangers to navigate to its place of origin, to spawn and perpetuate its kind. If a fish permits itself to be swept along the current of the rapids or the tides, it'll perish. It is only because God has endowed the fish with this precious instinct of self-preservation, whereby it is able to swim upstream against the forces of the billowing waves, then it can survive. In many ways, we have been compared to fish. Our forefather Jacob blessed his children, V'yidgu l'roi b'kerav oretz, that may you proliferate abundantly like fish within the land. Why? And he explains that because nun, we all have a quality of a fish. The ability to swim upstream. What does that mean in our world? To resist the temptations, to take the easy way out with the tide, and follow all the fads and all the crazy stuff that, leads us nowhere. So when we attend a wedding, why don't we remind ourselves? You see, a man, a woman, they're getting married now under the chuppah. They're about to begin a new journey in life. Just as we bring out the Torah, it journeys out of the ark and goes around the synagogue and goes onto the bima and we read it. In a certain sense, every one of us are also going through a journey. And we must remind ourselves, just as when the Torah presents this journey of the ark, has inverted nuns, the inverted letters, to highlight it. So too, we must remember when we go into our life, the success of that journey of life will depend on our resolve to be like that fish, to resist the temptation of running with the herd and swimming with the tide, to remain loyal to what is important to us, our foundation, Torah and mitzvahs, that which we've seen in our homes and our parents and grandparents, what we were taught in our Torah institutions, and to inspire ourselves to live in accordance with a life that's like the fish. Forget about what's going on around. You keep going, keep moving in the right direction. That will be a source of Yiddish nachas to Hashem, to the parents, and to all of us. This is your host, Rabbi Pearl, wishing everybody Mazel Tov. Happy Father's Day. Thank you all for joining us today. This is your host, wishing you all the best. Thank you.